Call the meeting to order. All those that can stand, please do so for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God. All right, roll call, please.
All board members are present.
All right, got a change requested for the agenda. I'd like for the agenda because we're changing it. So, all right, we due to some characteristics of a request here, we would like to move item H in the consent agenda to item 10E. And that is the request to purchase turnout gear for the fire department. And then add the budget amendment to that same item, 10E.
I move to approve the agenda as amended.
Support. Moved and supported. Vote, please.
Mr. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Charlotte?
Charlotte, yes.
Ms. Frederick?
Yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Salvia?
Salvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis?
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Hamill?
Hamill, yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, the first thing we'll start
I
off
have
with.
a question, if you don't mind. Are we supposed to, do we have to say our name when we vote? I mean, some of us are doing, I haven't done it for a while, but everybody else is still doing it. Why are we still doing it if we need to, or do we not need to?
For the video,
Okay, but all right.
because they can't necessarily see your mouth. So you just answer with your name. Yep. So, yeah, you're right. Next item is a consent agenda approval.
I move to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Support, Salvia.
Moved and supported. Vote, please.
Mr. Charlotte?
Charlotte, yes.
Ms. Frederick?
Frederick, yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Salvia?
Salvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis?
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Howe?
How, yes.
Mr. Hamill?
Hamill, yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, there we go. All right, now to announcements. As many people will notice in this video when it's out here on Zoom and in the audience, that we have a new board member. New meaning completely new to the board. The rest of the board members were all reelected from, I think, Beth, how long have you been at it? 5 years. Okay, so I'd like to introduce Grant Charlotte, who is filling in the spot that Judy Cooper left. And congratulations, Grant, on winning the election. You did really well for a new guy.
Yeah, thank you. I look forward to working with you guys.
All right. So congratulations, everybody. Thank you all for sticking with the team. I think we've done a very good job over the last 12 years, and opportunity for 4 more really good years. And we got a little bit of youth on our board now. Not that we're all old, but a little younger, and a young man that's got some great ideas and some great background skill sets. So be very helpful to us, I think, in the short and the long run. So on with the other announcements. Highland Township offices will be closed Tuesday, December 24th, Wednesday, December 25th for the Christmas holiday. Highland Township offices will be closed Tuesday, December 31st and Wednesday, January 1st for the New Year's Eve and New Year's Day holiday. And then the Festival of Trees is going on. That's December 1st through the 31st. So at this point, do we have any public comment? All right, no public comment. We'll move on. We've got a presentation from the DDA, and let me pull that up. First, hold on a second here, Missy. Gotta share this so others can see it. Let's see. This might be difficult, but give it a
We'll
run.
give it a run, okay. Considering the past with the vision of the future, this is the second of 2 required PA 57 informational meetings for the Highland DDA.
Uh-oh.
Just scroll down, yeah.
It's because I'm sharing this.
Right. Okay, so we do this meeting to inform the public of the goals and direction of the authority, including projects to be undertaken in the community this year, as well as next. This meeting is not for the purpose of voting of policy, budget, or other operational matters. Informational meetings can be held in conjunction with other public meetings, such as the Highland DDA and the Township board meetings. Mission and vision. I'm not going to read word for word the whole presentation, I promise. But the Highland Downtown Development Authority is dedicated to the promotion of economic growth, historic preservation in Highland Station and the surrounding business district. What we see for the future, the vision statement. Our vision for Highland Station District is to return Highland Station to its place as the center of our community and a destination within the region. One where attractive historical homes, vibrant small businesses, and healthy lifestyle amenities appeal to people of all ages. We had 11 board members in 2024. Roscoe Smith, Michael Zurich, Christina Hamill, Rick Hamill, Matt Barnes, Cassie Blasick, Taylor DeHaan, Dale Fagley, Jennifer Frederick, Andy West, and Michael Ziola. These board members constitute business owners, property owners, residents inside the district and outside, and of course, our township supervisor. And myself, Missy, I'm not on the board, but executive director of the Highland DDA. And I'm a resident of Highland. In 2024, our board meetings were held the 3rd Wednesday of the month at 6:15. We will be moving our board members to the 2nd Wednesday of the month, same time and place, which is Steeple Hall. We are a successful DDA. We are Main Street America accredited, Oakland County Main Street Community. We're a member of the MDA, Michigan Downtown Association. All 3 of these entities, we network, we learn best practices, receive education, and of course, bring it to our businesses. Our Highland Township families that we partner with and work closely with, Highland Township Library, Highland Township Fire Department, Huron Valley Council for the Arts, Oakland County Sheriff's Department, West Oakland Transportation Authority. And we so appreciate that partnership with all of them. Other partnerships, Oakland Thrive, the Highland White Lake Business Association, and we collaborate with them, such as with this coffee. We've also done training with Highland White Lake Business Association for our businesses. And I would be remiss if I did not say we also are a member of the Huron Valley Chamber of Commerce. As I said, we are an accredited Main Street Oakland County community and utilize the National Main Street 4-point proven approach. It's structured with 4 committees consisting of design, which is what you see, economic vitality, promoting our businesses, uplifting them, and creating a strong economic base. Organization, that's all the paperwork. And this year, the team did a great job with redoing the policies and procedures, as well as our normal routine work plans and websites and all that good stuff. And we can't forget volunteer recruitment and maintaining what we have. And of course, promotions. We market the district's assets and unique features, creating a place. The statistics. So this is mostly through the third quarter. Public investment, which would be the DDA and the township, would be the capital improvement in the district, was 297,370. The private investment, businesses and some residents in the district, 663,873. There were 8 public improvement projects, 9 building rehabilitations, which would be the businesses. 2 new businesses moved in. 750 volunteer hours was given to the DDA. Advertising, and this is, I bumped it up through what I project through the end of December, just over 10,000. Special events, just under 28,000. And sponsorships that we received in fundraising to the Highland DDA for our events, etc., was just over 15,000. The accomplishments, just under 60,000 of design projected through December has been spent. That was on seasonal streetscape, landscape, and maintenance, DAA, inside out project, ribbon cutting, mural on the WODA building, engineering stages of a boardwalk to continue walkability to the south side of the district, our banner program, and of course the odds and ends facade grant. There's our beautiful mural again. By the way, I was in Frankenmuth at Serendipity, and somebody found out I was from Highland and commented on the beautiful mural. I wanted to share that. This is the facade grant for odds and ends. You can see what it looked like before. There's his mock-up, the sketch. You can go ahead and we'll see what it looks like today. They received 2 DDA facade grants.
Oh, I'm on a Zoom call, but it's okay.
Main Street County provided free design services. This is also part of design. This was the Inside Out program. This is basically a free program. We marketed and did a great open house ribbon cutting, and this was the strolling art tour. And I chose this picture because I think it screams Highland. The open space, the green. And next to that is an example of our streetscape, our beautiful gardens. This is economic vitality. These are the accomplishments. Just under $6,100 has been spent to assist our small businesses with sales, retail events, and workshops. We worked with Highland White Lake Business Association, and we did a quick book class series for our businesses. We meet with businesses regularly to see what resources are needed. We have a rental subsidy grant for new businesses, $2,500. And it has been offered and it's in process. Currently, we have someone that's interested. We serve as a liaison for grants and education. We pass what we learn from MDA, Main Street County, and even Main Street America onto our businesses. And we have a digital marketplace online. This is their holiday advertisement, e-commerce platform. That's ladies' night out. It was a cookie tasting. You've heard of wine tasting? Well, we had a cookie tasting. Organization. Well, this is just what I had said earlier about not so fun paperwork. Policies, procedures, the work plan, social media. They also did sponsorship opportunity catalog, shopper's guide. They maintain the database, the website, and marketing media. There's some beautiful volunteers. Always looking for more if somebody would like to join us.
Who's that woman that's always in the front?
I don't know. She always shows up.
They're all smiling. That's great.
This is our beautiful sponsorship catalog. That is, I should have brought some copies so y'all could look through it. And our Live Highland Shop Highland Historic Shopper's Guide. Promotions. We spent $8,000 for our successful growing farmers market. $35,000 will be spent on events and placemaking by the end of the year. And this is the red, white, and blues, our beautiful fireworks display. And this is just one location. People celebrate everywhere and gather to watch this. I hear even at Save-A-Lot in the parking lot, and I hear Lyft took advantage of this opportunity and had an event to go along with this. We do 14 special sales events and place building, if you will, events. Ladies starting in April, ending in December. Ladies' Day Out, the Founders Day Parade and Festival, which we took over this year in 2024. And the DIA Inside Out, June through August, Red, White, and Blues Fireworks Festival Craft Show, Farmers Market, June through October. Sounds like summer, 6 concerts, July and August. Summer sidewalk sales, July. Michigan Downtown Day, we celebrated with a food fest. Haunted Highland Ladies Night Out, Small Business Saturday collaboration, Festival of Trees, holiday photo spots, Kris Kringle, and tree lighting. All of this brings people to our businesses and our downtown. Join the parade. This is just some show-off pictures. That's our famous Roscoe Smith.
Yeah, he's older than the truck.
I didn't say that.
I did.
You did. This is
Okay.
the new location at the farmers market. This is more conducive. It's on John Street out in front of the building, as you can see, and it just lends more to a festival atmosphere. It is growing. It's well liked. This is when they were setting up. Oh boy, this is Haunted Highland, our skeleton crew, Dale and Chris. We wouldn't know what to do without them. And of course, no bones about it, Lieutenant Snyder. We wouldn't trade him for anything.
Really?
Yeah.
That's actually what I told Sheriff Bouchard. We wouldn't trade him for anything. And I mean that 100%. So thanks for what you do. You're welcome. All right.
Okay, so Downtown Days, the Food Fest. This one, the Dukes, this is a pickle pizza, pepperoni. I think it's got some dill on it. And I hear this is, Rick, is this your pizza or your favorite pizza?
That is actually a picture of the pizza that I ordered.
Uh-huh.
And it's called a dill pickle pizza.
Not gluten-free, but I tried it and it was really good.
It's hard not to eat the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Highland being a former pickle factory place, what more could you say?
That's right. Here are our projected projects for 25. Design plans to connect sidewalks to the south, the boardwalk project. Continue to maintain and improve landscaping, continue to have seasonal installations, the banner program. And we're going to investigate an outdoor art gallery over by Steeple Hall. Economic vitality, more workshops brought to our businesses. That team is currently working on a services guide, similar to shopper's guide, but it would be geared for the services such as accounting and law, etc. Retail events, that would be like Ladies' Day Out. Liaison to grants and other educational opportunities, continue the rental subsidy, shop Oakland County digital platform, and partner with Oakland County's Thrive program. Organization, continue to establish and maintain our partnerships with other organizations. Community outreach to educate and advocate for the DDA. Bring educational resources to our board staff, volunteers. Recruit new and maintain existing volunteers. We hope to have a 2025 volunteer appreciation event. Investigate a youth Main Street committee. Promotions, bring 6 concerts, organize and plan 2 annual community festivals, organize and plan the annual tree lighting, Highland Farmers Market, and of course, continue to support the retail events and the Main Street Small Businesses event. We love our downtown. I've said this earlier, but that Girl Scout troop looks like they have taken ownership of Highland. They have a boa that they put in the flower garden. They've also done things like planted bulbs, etc. This is Fragments. It is a business. And the lady in the middle with the glasses is a board member's wife. Her name is Cheryl. They're a very successful downtown business. We are a place to gather. It was one of our concerts. You'll notice to the right of the screen, there is a pop-up vendor that is Business Earth and Soul. This was the Itchy Coo Park, which is a hippie concert. Very well received, as you can see. And this has grown immensely. Place to gather again. Even when it's cold, we gather here in Highland. Still celebrating. Here are our residents celebrating their downtown. And it's a downtown for everyone. That's last year's tree lighting. We had 2 schools participate this year. Bigger. It was a great turnout. And I'm done. Happy holidays. Oh, I have to, one thing. Thank the fire chief. He escorted Santa. They arranged to pick Santa up. Whole 9 yards. Don't have a picture of him, but.
All right. Great job. Okay, we'll move on to the pending business. Those that were here for the last board meeting, we introduced ordinance number Z032 to amend the Charter Township of Highland zoning ordinance. Tonight, we're looking at it from the perspective of approving it. So, right. So on that, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt ordinance number Z032, an ordinance to amend the Charter Township Highland zoning ordinance, chapter 25 of the General Code of Ordinances by revising Article 9 district-specific regulations to increase the maximum allowable lot coverage in Highland Station zoning district, and Article 11 access management, parking, and circulation to reduce the parking requirements for gas stations.
Charlie, support.
Okay, moved and supported. Any discussion? All right. Any discussion? All right, then we'll vote, please.
Ms. Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Salvia,
Salvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Howe,
Mr. Howell votes yes.
Mr. Charlotte,
Charlotte, yes.
Mr. Hamel.
Hamel, yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Next item is new business. Comcast, who we gave the monopoly rights to many years ago to string cable through our community so that we could get cable, over the years has offered, whether they offered or not, but there's been a return to the township for the rights to do so. And so what happens is, I'm going to try and get the percentages. A couple of years ago, probably maybe been 4 years ago, we had, or 5, we had the representative from Comcast come in and explain to us that the federal government had taken away all of our rights for any interference with public utilities, kind of pretty much, which Comcast is considered. So he can't ask them to pretty much do anything. That they can do what they want to do. But what we have here is we have a uniform, this is from them actually, a Comcast Uniform Video Service Local Franchise Agreement, and it's the request from them. The current agreement with Comcast contains a 5% franchise fee. That 5% franchise fee actually nets the township about $300,000 a year. And when people wonder how we can charge 0.6 mils, which is only equal to about $600,000 a year to operate, that's part of it. So that you add 300 to 600. Now there's $900,000 for us to spend on operations. And then there's a 0.5% PEG fee. And the PEG fee is a fee that's to be used for community information purposes. The schools, it really works well with the schools. We got here in Valley Schools, so you've got Lakeland, Milford, and Walled Lake. They have programs where they have TV studios. They will go out and film. I think some of you have probably seen Milford's or Lakeland's group used to film the parade. And so that PEG fee is collected and is managed by a group of the communities, of which I'm a board member. And that PEG fee is then distributed upon request to those schools. So they'll, once every quarter, we have a meeting and the schools will come up with things they might need, new software to operate their video programs and equipment and improvements to their studios and that type of thing. So it comes in pretty good, pretty handy. And it is something that the schools, they just wouldn't be able to really afford to do it. So it's really a great asset to them. So essentially what it boils down to is we have an opportunity to follow the recommendations, or we could put up a fuss and end up with nothing. So it's got, I mean, they're not going to actually do that, but it doesn't behoove us to make a point to argue with it when we really have no rights by federal law. So I want to make a motion that we follow the recommendations of this franchise agreement, and we've provided a resolution. And the resolution is number 24-36. It's a Charter Township of Highland resolution to approve uniform video service local franchise agreement with Comcast.
Support Lewis.
Okay, moved and supported. Any questions?
How long was the previous agreement that we had in place from? How long was that one term wise?
Yes, about 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this matches kind of what? Okay. I just was interested.
What's interesting about this is that, yeah, it's a monopoly here, and people say, well, why can't we get somebody else? Well, once somebody's run cable, nobody's going to spend the money in Highland because there aren't enough people who will adopt it to cover the cost to cable again, because they'd be running all new cables. So, and the other things that have happened is there's Starlink, there's you've got satellite, you've got AT&T has their 5G program, and what is it, T-Mobile, and I mean, there's so many people doing this stuff that don't even require wires anymore. So a wired community is kind of, the next wiring is really fiber optic, and so nobody's going to pay for that fiber optic at this point until AT&T and some of the others decide that they're going to fund that. So there's always going to be, quote, a monopoly with Comcast. We can't do anything about it. So the service you get is the best that we can do. Is when there's an issue, we try and help people. Now there was an issue with Cassie. How many people was it that didn't have access here in Highland? Yeah. So there, people were complaining about not having access to cable. Well, what happens is we actually got with Comcast and said, we want to know who doesn't have access. And so federal government's got data. Comcast has data. We used what information we have for people who have complained about it. Turns out there's 10 people that don't have access. Now, that's the key word. Access means if there's a cable that runs by your property somewhere, you have access. It doesn't matter if it's 2 miles away. You have access. So the only thing that's going to be the problem is you as an individual have to pay to meet that access. Comcast is not going to. So we've got some multi-acre parcels who have been given some incredibly high costs to put, thousands and thousands of dollars to put cable in. So they feel that that's not access, but so Comcast says that's access.
Can I ask, are those 10 people like in the same area?
No,
Or is it, no,
spread around.
not necessarily. Okay. Okay.
Buckhorn Lake Road is one where there is not a cable running down the road, so there's no access. But if the cable is running down the road and you're 2,000 feet off it, you're going to pay for 2,000 feet of cable or find another way. And that's pretty much what they say. So we have no control over that.
The fee is only for cable though, right? So like you're saying, a lot of people are going to, like me personally, we went to that Verizon box thing or whatever, we had cable, we got rid of cable. So we could potentially see
a drop
in what we actually get, correct?
Yeah. And there is a potential in the next agreement. They may say we're not going to supply it anymore. So we have no choice.
Yeah. I'm just saying, we potentially could see some reduction in proceeds from it just because.
And I think we need to plan for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So
Can we just clearly state that there is no monopoly in reality, so that if another company did, I know they're not going to, but if they did walk in here and say, we want to lay wire in Highland, they would be allowed to.
Oh, they can, but there is a monopoly.
Okay, but the taxpayers think that we're getting paid to keep other companies out of here. So I want that clearly stated, please.
You can state that.
Right.
We're
We are
not keeping them.
paid to maintain a monopoly for Comcast.
No.
Support. I agree. I think people need to know that because, great point.
So we had a discussion. Now we need to vote.
All right. Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Salvia,
Yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Mr.
Mr.
Howe,
Howe votes yes.
Mr. Sharlick,
Charlotte, yes.
Mrs. Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Mr. Hamel.
Hamel, yes.
Motion carries.
What's it?
Yes, it's a chocolate.
All right. Somebody's got their microphone on at home.
There's another one in the freezer.
If you could turn those off, please. All right. The next item is variance for road width and there's a cross section for Polo Way. Beth, I'm going to have you explain this to the board and the public.
Map,
Put it, ooh,
Page
let
84
me see if I
of
can
the
get
packet. What we have here is there's a private road, Polo Way, off of Lone Tree Road, or Row Road, in the south end of the township. It was developed back in the 90s. It's a private road that has a cul-de-sac at about 750 feet north of the main road, and then a driveway that goes back to a single home on a parcel on the north. It's like a 35-acre parcel. That was perfectly consistent with the ordinance at the time. And frankly, it still works with the ordinance, the way the ordinance is written now. Mr. Zeffie's here. He owns the 36 acres to the north. He'd like to propose a land division. The land division will necessitate, they'll need a variance and lot width, but other than that, it's a pretty straightforward variance to get to 4 more parcels up there. Here's where we get into a couple issues with the ordinance. One, we have a limit on the length of a private road that's serving 8 or more parcels. So we've got 8 parcels here in probability, and the road length would be like 2,340 feet. The other issue is that the road was really developed north of that cul-de-sac as more of a driveway, and it's a beautiful driveway, pretty stately, with rows of pine trees on either side that work well to one, create a dramatic entrance to the existing home, but 2, also block the wind and the snow drift and all that. So working with the fire marshal to determine what could be done to still have a safe and effective access to the new parcels where you could have 3 more homes and maintain the trees. We were able to come up with a plan that would widen that roadbed instead of to the ordinance requirement of 24 feet from hinge point to hinge point. It'd be 16 feet. That's perfectly acceptable for fire apparatus access. They'd still do some dressing up for the drainage. And then at each of the directions, when the road turns to the east and the west, there'd be new vehicle turnarounds, and they'd be like a T turnaround kind of configuration. Now that those trees also lie along what would be the south property line of the property that's going to be split. So they'd also like to not disturb those trees because there's a lot of privacy afforded by them. But there is plenty of room to do something for drainage to the north. But why go from a 16-foot road section and then widen out to the 24-foot road section that would be required by ordinance? They'd like to just maintain that 16-foot cross section. The only requirement the fire marshal saw was he would like a marker placed so that when the fire crews are going to a response there, they would have a sign that tells them you're 1,000 feet from the farthest dwelling, so that they could know where that'd be a good place to stage the pumpers. And they could talk to that more if you want. We're only talking about 8 houses. The ordinance language talks a lot about having more flexibility when you're short of 16 houses. I think we fall short of the 16, but all the authority to approve a variance for these lies with the board, not with the zoning board of appeals. So the property owner's here, the engineer Brad Thompson's here, Nick's here. If you have any questions between the 4 of us, I'm sure we can answer them.
Do you want to come up to the front? Maybe the owner also. Thanks for coming tonight. I appreciate it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, there you go. One of my concerns is something that actually happened to my own road, private roadway. And that's around. When the individual that put the road in was supposed to put in a T, make it a T, and it got put in, and then the T disappeared, and his bond was returned. I'm just trying to make it clear that, you know, there's a reason why we have bonds.
Right.
And so there was nothing we could do. So now the garbage truck has to come in and back into the neighbor's driveway as opposed to backing into where this T should have been. So my concern is that we make sure that that space is kept clear, that access, you know, where
For
the hash
on
mark
the
in,
east-west,
yeah,
east-west
that
road
those
back
are
there. Yeah.
kept clear.
Mhm.
The intent is to wait until somebody moves in or buys those parcels to put that in, or is that going to be a?
No, Mr. Zeffie has to put it in before the parcel divisions occur, is my understanding.
They'd need to be in before anyone could pull a building permit.
Right.
So they
Okay.
could approve the land splits as the road right of ways there. Doesn't have to be developed until building.
Until building occurs.
Okay.
Okay, so that's clear. I mean, that's pretty
Right.
clear.
Right.
Are the trees on, when you look at the print there, it says road 540 feet. They're on the
The
east
bottom
lot?
easement is a north-south existing driveway. That has trees on both sides.
What about along the
On the
southern lot
on the
line?
east-west road, the new road that's going in, that has trees only on the south side.
So
And
they're on,
it's only on the east side of the main thoroughfare going in.
okay,
That east side has trees, and the southernmost trees jump back and forth across the property line. So those are owned, some of them, most of them are owned by Mr. Zeffie, the property owner, which is standing right here. But obviously the northern one is on his property. It's just that they're fairly good size, mature.
are we going to continue with a 16-foot wide drive in both directions?
Yes,
Okay.
both ways would have a 16-foot wide drive. The difference being with the east-west road, we will provide ditching, but we're going to propose sloping only to the north, so the ditching would be there. There's an existing lower spot at the very east end by the turnaround there. The west end has one a little bit further to the west.
Okay.
An on-site low spot. And it's all sand. We haven't performed soil borings in the specific area of the road, but other holes have been dug on this property, and they've all exhibited, like most of Highland, sand.
How many houses are gonna get serviced by that new section of road that you're putting
The
in?
new section of the road, there's one existing house, and then there would be initially, we expect 2, maximum of 3 additional houses.
On the drawing, it shows like a 12-foot drive with a 2-foot shoulder. Are you assuming that, is it gonna be basically a
That-
16-foot wide, or is the shoulder gonna be?
That is it's essentially one monolithic feature. And it's just that the fire, I think the fire diagram shows 12 and 2 and 2. And for a 16-foot overall width, but it's essentially, it's going to be constructed as one 16-foot wide 21 AA road.
Okay. And then is there any concern or do you foresee any issues potential? I mean, because like the only thing I foresee with this is you're like at 16 feet, which is basically like almost 2-lane, but it's just shy of it. And I just, is there going to be ever a problem with the homeowners if, the FedEx trucks go into one person's house and this person's leaving and you've got a quarter mile of road, you can't pass that person.
I understand exactly what you're saying. And I have a similar situation at my house that there's 3 houses and it's a half a mile of road, and we always seem to work it out. We haven't had any accidents over 30 years. So
hey, it's his road or whatever.
There's one new house that will be going to the east and the potential of 2 to the west. If you see the first sheet of the drawings there, the main house, and I don't know if anybody's been down Polo Way, but it's pretty striking. This driveway with the lined with all these pine trees, and at the end is this big Georgian looking house at the end. But back to the point, we're proposing 3 divisions at 5 acres and 1 large one because the owner to the north, Mr. Heinke, has shown he has 40 acres and farms that, and he's also been a client of mine and said that I introduced him to Mr. Zeffie here to see if he would be interested in purchasing that northern part for additional hay and strawfield or hayfield. That is in discussion with Mr. Zeffie. So Mr. Zeffie right now would like to keep the barns. And so he would own the center 2 pieces, but it's configured so that at some time in the future, it could be divided or it can stay the same way as it is shown here.
My only outlook on it would be maybe potentially if you can find a pocket in between some of those trees, maybe have like one spot where you could have like a pull off or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So if somebody's coming specifically, nowadays everything gets delivered and it's not delivered in a minivan.
I know.
So that especially in the wintertime, it's not super easy. It's going to be a 16-foot wide road.
Yeah.
But
we can probably do that on the north side. On the south side, it's a little bit more problematic from the cul-de-sac north to the site because the trees have been there for a number of years. So they're fairly substantial trees. And the width between them is not sufficient to get the full road and all the other drainage in there. So right now, I don't see any drainage. Really, there hasn't been any. Just to the west on the parcel ID number 14, that is where an existing low area comes through there and goes to the south, and then it progresses to the west over Row Road where it heads north, and then that dumps into a fairly substantial wetland area.
So the way I understand it, basically these people, if he splits these people will be driving past his house to go to their house, correct?
They'll be driving past, which house are you referring to, Mr. Charlie?
The house that,
Mr. Zeffie?
Yeah.
They'll come down, and then right now the driveway continues on to his residence. What we're proposing is it'll come in and then it'll have a turn to the right and a turn to the left.
This is why I'm saying this now. If you think about it for your own usage or whatever, you don't want to, this is just my outlook. You don't want to have to.
Oh yeah. No,
so, it's only for the benefit. Not make it harder, just make it for the benefit of everybody.
Yep. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did. I'm not saying that I think it should be a requirement. I'm just saying that I think.
No, I think it's a good idea.
Would be, especially on that longer section where more people are going to be traveling.
And I know that someplace on the south, we can probably find exactly that. Just grade in a little turnout area.
Right. Which is where most of the traffic is.
It is all sand and gravel. And so therefore it's, for a car, it's fine. But for the fire department, they need something to be able to get down there, and obviously.
So as an example, the road that I live on is county spec.
Mhm.
It's 24 feet wide, ditches, pure sand. There's never, ever water that sits anywhere in
Right,
the ditches.
right.
And the irony is that if I don't grade it to 24 feet, it'll end up 12 feet wide.
Right, right.
So, and that's with garbage trucks going up and down it too. So it does help to have the wideness, but I think 16 feet would be more than adequate for the number of people that are on that. There's 4 people on the road that I'm on.
Right.
And it works great. And I think it would be adequate. Right. Any other questions?
I wonder about garbage trucks. Do they go down the private road?
Where do they go right now? The garbage truck,
Up to here.
they go up to the cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I brought big semi truck with WA to fill nicer road. I mean, you can pass there with no problem at all.
And so the new homes, they'll bring their garbage down to the cul-de-sac as well?
Is that what
Yeah.
you're down?
It's gonna come over here.
It'll come back here.
Right now, we're bringing everybody's bringing the garbage here.
All right, including you.
Yes.
You bring it down
Yeah,
here.
Yeah.
Is Fullaway county or private?
No, it's private.
Okay, my road's a private road and they either back down or drive in. So it's
Mine's a private road. Yeah, we have to take it. That's right. I was a couple of minutes late tonight, but they had to take the garbage out.
so I think I would be up to the garbage truck driver and what they
Right.
organize, but the
right.
width of that 16 feet would be more than adequate for a garbage truck.
Yes,
'Cause they're under
yes,
8 feet.
exactly, to get down. And they should be able to turn around in the turnaround with the dimensions that
Yeah,
are on
yeah.
there. It's the fire marshal's specification
Right.
for the T turnaround. So although some of the garbage truck drivers are not the best trained in the world, but
They'll fix the road.
they should be able to work this out.
And you guys have, you're gonna draft, are you gonna kind of be involved, Beth, with them drafting the private road agreement?
Yes, there's still a private road approval process where there'll be some engineered drawings and they still need to go to the ZBA about the land division if
Mhm.
they're gonna get the configuration they requested. So there's a few more steps. But there's no point in moving to the next step until they have this variance from you.
Let's get the road approved first and then figure out how to.
Right. Yeah, our main concern was we're already the driveway's in violation of the current length. So it is a private road easement that was granted with the property, but the drive is about 11 to 12 feet wide, and then you have these pretty good size 8 to 16-inch pine trees. So it's very striking from an aesthetic point of view. But I understand what the fire marshal is concerned with, and that's why we agreed that we'll try and extend it to the 16 feet, actually in a little bit in excess.
I have a question. The existing private road easement, is it at least 16? Are the people
The existing private road easement width is 66.
from the cul-de-sac? to
Yes, yeah,
The applicant's
Yeah.
property?
yep. That'll kind of give you an idea. I'm sorry, 60 foot. I lied. to
Really?
you. Yeah. It's a 60-foot easement.
So the current residents already know that is to be there.
Yes, there's no change to any of that. From Roll Road into the cul-de-sac, and it's a 75-foot radius on the cul-de-sac. That's a 60-foot easement. And then from the cul-de-sac north up to Mr. Zeffie's property, it is already 60-foot easement. It's just that the road that's there, the driving path is only constructed 11 to 12 feet wide.
It's like a 2-track.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it has stone on it and stuff right now, but it's very, it's it's a good drive as far as supporting fire trucks and emergency vehicles, but, we'll improve it to the township's requirements,
All right.
fire marshal's requirements.
Any other questions? All right. I guess we can, I'll make a motion to, approve a variance from the strict interpretation of the private road ordinance to allow the extension of Polo Way from the 1,300 lineal feet maximum allowed by ordinance to 2,340 lineal feet in accordance with the survey sketch provided by B.F. Thompson dated 11/12/24, and further to allow variances in the road cross section from the required width of 22-foot road bed with 4-foot shoulders to 16-foot road bed with 1-foot shoulders as noted on the reference plan. These variances are based on findings noted in the Planning Commission Director's Report of December 8th, 2024, discussed by the board and conditioned upon development of an acceptable private road maintenance agreement and placement of a marker whose design and placement shall be approved by the fire marshal.
Charlotte, support.
Okay, moved and supported. Vote please.
I'm just wondering, do we need to, the idea of the turnouts along the way, do we need to add that to this motion or will that be taken care of later?
The turnouts themselves are not a variance.
Okay.
They're required anyway.
Okay, vote.
Mr. Salvia. Mrs. Lewis.
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Howe.
Mr. Howell votes yes.
Mr. Charlotte.
Charlotte, yes.
Ms. Frederick.
Frederick, yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Hamel.
Hamel, yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, the next item is let's see. We haven't looked at this one yet, so this is an item that came before the Planning Commission public hearing was held on December 5th to consider a request to rezone parcels on South Hickory Ridge Road, commonly identified as the Feldman Automotive Group inventory overflow lots. The request would move the parcels from C2 General Commercial District to C3 Low Impact Commercial District to allow for outdoor storage and self-storage. The intent of the rezoning is to allow Feldmans to lease space and to individuals for their storage of boats and other recreational vehicles. Due to changes in the automotive industry, dealerships no longer hold the inventory on site that were required in 2019 when this site was originally developed. The applicant is not seeking to abandon the original use of approvals, but rather add flexibility to whose vehicles are stored there. There was no response from the neighboring property owners since a similar use is already established there. The Feldman's Automotive Group did offer some conditions to limit any further improvement of the site unless they first approached the township for proper approvals. The Planning Commission recommended approval of the rezoning with the proposed conditions, with the understanding that no short-term parking or storage of commercial vehicles should be allowed. In other words, not turning them into another business venture that would operate out of the site there, or an individual business adventure. They further requested that the applicant work with the township to develop an effective landscape screen between this storage lot and the newly acquired park property to the south. That last line is important. We'll discuss it in a minute. Behind where the BP station is. Yeah.
Rick, when we discussed this at the Planning Commission, it was obviously after they built that lot, shortly after, which it's built really nice. They have a road built around it and everything. It's fenced. There was two things we noted. One was that they mentioned they wanted to do boats. It was already offered that they wouldn't repair them or anything like that. But one thing we thought important, I I have been involved with properties with storage of stuff, is a lot of times it ends up like tree trucks and start commercial vehicles and things like that. So we've added that in there that they understand that it couldn't be vehicles that would be starting up super early in the morning all the time and things like that. Mainly we were getting on the same page with them that was going to be for the community to store their boats, their RVs, their campers, regular vehicles or anything like that. And then also, like you were saying, the screening along the on the southern edge, because when that was obviously developed, that was just a farm field. There really wasn't anything happening there. And so one of the things that I added as a condition into there was that the township board, they were talking about trying to make it a condition to do it right away. And then Beth had mentioned that it may be a better idea to leave it kind of in the air for the board to decide, depending on how that property develops, trade them something for it or do something like that, rather than say, let's just put some pine trees here. So that's the planning commission's talked about it.
Yeah, that's kind of important, because one of the things that happens is you can dictate that it be landscaped. You put a bunch of money into it, and then there's no way to really maintain it, and you've really wasted the plant material, because in most cases weeds will grow around it, it'll die, and you might as well wait until there's a true need for it and then work with the board. That's the intent, to work with the board to come up with a game plan. Maybe it's a fence, a solid fence, that type of thing. Is it a solid fence that's next to the residential? Is that chain link? Okay. That, I don't think they care particularly. In fact, they approached me as asking if the township could buy their property. So it's kind of a moot point, I guess. And it's also the point that the township does own that parcel that abuts to it. And I don't think that there's really any need to be establishing a planting screen there. Sometimes that's more obvious of it looks weirder than if you just wait and see how the rest of it plays out. So
we just found it to be important that it gets added into the conditions, just so
Right.
the owner knows that down the road, maybe it changes hands, maybe it changes usages. They just know that something's going to be required down the road.
Right. Okay, so Beth has done us a favor of creating some actions. Question?
I have a correction at the top of page 88, I think, this is ordinance number Z033, not 32.
Oh,
We just approved 3-2.
3. So correct my commentary on that. Thank you.
So typically this would be a first reading, and you do have the ordinance language there and a draft statement of conditions. So the important thing today would be to look at the conditions and make sure that you find the conditions acceptable. That would be the only action you'd take today, because it's an ordinance amendment. It's still going to need another reading. But if you are not satisfied with conditions, and you can see issue that hasn't been brought to light, it should go back to the planning commission to revise the conditions.
Are the conditions on page 91 now therefore owner agrees?
Yes.
And do they mention working with the township in the future?
That's in a letter of offer of conditions. I don't know, that belongs in the actual.
I think one of the things that's actually I think is it's a good application for this property, because once again, we have ordinances that require people to store recreational vehicles, and there's no place for them, and all of the storage units are full. So there's no reason that this is I think at one time that was a request to actually put a storage unit there. So I think Mr. Highland came up with that one.
I think it's a good plan because it leaves the property flexible. We don't need really personally, I don't think we really need another big steel storage building. So in this flexibility that they need right now, because maybe in 5 years they're going to need to store more cars. So it gives them the flexibility to use the property, service the community. That was what was important to me, was that the commercial vehicle thing didn't happen, so that it could be people, because I also asked him if it was his intent to turn it over to a boat company and store all their boats in there. And he said, no, his intent was that it would be for the community, which is what would be important to me, because I mean, not that it maybe couldn't happen, but I mean, I think that's a bonus, that it wouldn't just be, Skipper Buds or something like that. 100 boats would show up one day, and it doesn't help the community, So I do think it's positive.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point.
So
He's here, but he also mentioned in the planning commission meeting that there's a keypad there currently, and it would operate like any other one, where everybody gets their own code and they can log who goes in and out and stuff like that.
Not open to the public.
So what you're missing from what's in your packet is Mr. Saltz revised the letter offering conditions this morning. And there's an additional point in the offer of conditions that we can draft into the statement of conditions before the second reading. They agreed to work with the township to develop an effective screen on the south property line in coordination with plans developed for the township park. Ms. Hamame suggested we just make sure it's clear in that, in the statement of conditions that would be part of your action you'd take next month or at the next meeting, that's triggered upon the township's request. And this revised letter also includes the clear statement that the use of the site shall not include the short-term parking and storage of commercial vehicles, except as may be included in the inventory of the dealership.
Okay. Any more discussion? I'm going to make a motion to accept the conditions as offered and set as offered in a revised letter dated what's the
December 9.
pardon me?
December 9.
Okay, in a letter dated December 9th from the landowner, which includes additional statements of condition. And set a second reading for the ordinance.
Support, how?
Do we need to set that date out now or after that? As a part of the motion? Okay. Support, how?
Yes, sir.
Okay, vote please.
Mrs. Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Howe,
Mr. Howell votes yes.
Mr. Charlotte,
Charlie, yes.
Miss Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Salvia, Mr. Hamel,
Hamel, yes.
motion carries.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Yep. All right. Next item is we put up 2 of our older trucks for bid. They went out to bid. And we got bids on only one vehicle. And it was the 2015 GMC Sierra. We set a minimum bid of $13,000. We got $16,000. We had 3 bids. Ironically, 2 of them are from the same people, but one for $13,002, one for $14,257.88, and one for $16,100. And the recommendation is that we accept the offer of $16,100. Now there's some additional conditions. Was that in an email that? Hang on, I'll see if I can pull this up. I just want to make this public. So, okay, I see. Okay, 2015 GMC Sierra. We put up 2 of our older trucks for bid. They went out to bid. And we got bids on only one vehicle. And it was the 2015 GMC Sierra. We set a minimum bid of $13,000. We got $16,000. We had 3 bids. Ironically, 2 of them are from the same people, but one for $13,257.88, and one for $16,100. And the recommendation is that we accept the offer of $16,100. Now there's some additional conditions. Was that in an email that? Hang on, I'll see if I can pull this up. Okay, and the conditions that go with that, for $16,100 are that, we require proof of title change within 1 day of receipt of the vehicle, and that the payment must be cash or certified check for $16,100, and payment made within 7 days once approved. Pardon me? The person's name is, where'd it go there? Mark Busick, Busick. I did leave a message for him that we'd be meeting tonight and have a final vote on that. So I'll make the motion to approve the sale of the 2015 GMC Sierra 1500 double cab 4-wheel drive to Mark Busick for $16,100.
Support, Hal.
Moved and supported. Vote please.
Mr. Howe,
Mr. Hal votes yes.
Mr. Sharlick,
Charlotte, yes.
Ms. Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Salvia, Mrs. Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Hamel,
Hamel, yes.
motion carries.
So the next step is we'll put the Ford out again for the next opportunity and re-advertise it, and hopefully somebody will be interested in it. It is actually fairly low mileage, 63,000 miles, and they're all hardly any freeway speeds. And it is 4-wheel drive. It is a Ford aluminum body, so there's little to no rust.
What is that, a 150?
Yeah, so
150?
I think they call it F100 or something like that.
Oh, okay.
So it'll make somebody a decent vehicle. It's very stock, very basic. Good work truck. All right, next item is 10E, fire turnout gear. Fire turnout gear. So we don't have, I got to get that. Problem is, it's not coming up.
Page 37.
Page 37.
I'm gonna break it out like that. On the computer, though.
Depends on how you download it. I'll show you.
But- Oh. Hmm.
Well, the problem is the bookmarks don't do this particular because it's buried in the consent agenda. 37. Come on. 5, 36, 37. All right. Light your mic up, Chief, and speak away.
So as most of you should remember, last year we got awarded from Michigan's Labor and Economic Opportunity Division. Sorry, my mic's sliding away from me from my dog. We got awarded the grant for second set of turnout gear for all of our full-time firefighters. The gear came in for all but 2 of them, and this year's and the invoice came in with our everything changing over here in December to January for our budget year. And we messed up if we try it, we can't pay it next year, so it's kind of got to come out of this year's budget, from what I've been told. So we'll get the money reimbursed from the state, except for they don't do their reimbursements, but after every 3 months, they do a query of how much money you've spent out of the grant, and then they'll reimburse you that much money. Well, that 3-month span doesn't end until the end of December. I'll be able to put the numbers in January, and then they'll work out their reimbursement for that. But with this, everything coming in this year in 24, I wanted to get the bill taken care of and paid and everything in 24. With that, I did a request to use it out of our savings, out of our 402 account, to our capital improvement account. We have the funds in there saved up to be able to afford that. And then the money will, when the state reimburses us, the money will go right back into the account, right back in the savings. to reimburse it.
All right. So
And then it added after the fact was the budget amendment to cover that. So you have that at the table for you.
I'll include that. I'll make a motion to do this and I'll include that in it. So make a motion to approve the expenditure. It's 39,539.10 for fire turnout gear with Phoenix Safety Outfitters. And included in the amendment to approve that is a budget amendment of $40,000 coming from appropriation fund balance and going into capital equipment. Moved and supported. Any discussion? Kane, any discussion? No. Dog's not talking tonight. So, all right, vote please.
Mr. Sharlick,
Charlotte, yes.
Mrs. Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Salvia,
Salvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Howe,
Mr. Howell votes yes.
Mr. Hamel.
Hamel, yes.
Carries.
All right. On that note, meeting's adjourned.
Hey, Rick.
Yeah.
I was having some issues hearing Joe's mic on and off throughout the meeting, just as an FYI.
That's because he won't speak into it.